Jai Janendra everyone. Welcome you all to this very new lecture series called Karma. Today we will be having the very first lecture of the topic called Karma. This topic is divided again amongst different modules, and today we will be having the first module which have only one lecture, which is the introductory lecture of Karma. So when we talk about karma, when we hear to this word, so a very kind of it is a very familiar word which we have heard multiple times in a growing stage and now also. Whenever we are happy, we are sad, or whatever good things happen in our life or bad things happen in our life, everybody has this tendency or habit to associate with this term, this word called karma. Okay, so, what is the basic meaning of karma? What is the philosophy? Obviously, this will take multiple modules and multiple lecture because it is a long science, a very big subject, vast subject. We will be summarizing everything on this Jeev portal. Before I hand over this mic to Somil Bhaiya to start today's lecture, I wanted to shortly introduce you all to Jeev portal. This is for the people who are joining this lecture for the very first time. Jeev is Jain English Education and Values. It's a beautifully designed portal which showcase every topic of Jainism, taking it from Dev Darshan type of basic topic to Dravya Gun Paryay and Karma kind of slightly typical topic in terms of understanding. We have designed it everything in one single portal based on different levels. You can find the topics there. How you can access these topics, these lectures, we will talk about this at the last minute of this lecture after the discussion and after the question answer round. So now, Somil Bhaiya, over to you. You can start today's discourse.
Thank you, Harshil Bhaiya. And Jai Jinendra, everyone. Let's fold our hands. We will start with a short Manglacharan. Namo Arihantanam. Namo Siddhanam. Namo Ayariyanam. Namo Uvajayanam. Namo Loe Sabbasahunam. Mangalam Bhagavan Viro. Mangalam Gautamo Gani. Mangalam Kunda Kundaryo Jaina Dharmostu Mangalam. Let me share my screen. As Harshil Bhaiya rightly introduced the topic is known as karma, and it is a well-known topic nowadays across the globe, not only in the Indian culture. We've heard people talking about karma or their uh, fate or destiny. Um, it is very interesting as we introduce this topic that while the term karma is so talked about, yet it is probably one of the most misunderstood topic. Many people blame everything, their good and bad deeds, to karma. Many people would lose their own efforts or uh, keep aside the um, main purusharth or the effort that one needs to do to achieve certain task or to achieve moksha in this particular life, and they would just blame everything to karma. They will sort of become completely helpless to themselves, and they would put all the blame to karma. So while karma is so deeply rooted in ancient wisdoms, yet it is probably a misunderstood topic, and it is our effort today to talk about it briefly, and then eventually in the future modules we will get into a little more depth of this topic, karma. Let's start with the most foundational principle of karma theory. We have heard this even in science. Even the scientist Newton says that to every action there is an equal reaction. equal and opposite reaction. Similarly, here, what karma theory says is whatever you will sow, so shall you will reap. Here in the picture, we can see that one gentleman is sowing mango seeds and eventually he's getting mango as a fruit. Whereas this second gentleman is sowing bubble tree as seeds. Bubble tree is a very thorny tree. So eventually the fruits that grow out of it, it's also thorny and eventually he'll get hurt. Similarly, if one does good deeds, you will get good karmas. One does bad deeds, you will get bad karmas. One of the most misunderstood aspect of karma is that everybody is trying to do good karma, hoping or assuming that good karma will nullify the bad karma. But that is not the case. One has to really understand that there are two separate categories. Good karma is a separate category, bad karma is a separate category. And in every life form, one carries both categories and they will get the fruition of both the type of karmas simultaneously. While the example given here is very simple, in our lives, we can experience things like on one side, we have good karma giving us fruition, like our bodies are healthy, our weather is good. These are all results of good karma. And yet, you might have some pain in your body somewhere. Maybe your leg is paining, your head is paining, your stomach is paining, or maybe your footwear is too short and it is biting your leg. So there are some tiny uh, bad karma fruits as well in our life. And we will always see a combination of good and bad karma in our lives. So, in summary, the good will not cancel bad. So, you cannot achieve moksha just by doing good karma, by nullifying bad karma. There has to be a process by which you get rid of good as well as bad, and eventually your karma balance goes to zero. We will come about this process a little later in this class and, of course, in the future classes. As Harshil Bhaiya said earlier, the topic of karma is very deep in Jain philosophy. It not only talks about how the soul is bound with karma and is constantly revolving around the four life forms from infinite time, but it also talks about how understanding karma can help us get rid of the karma and walk on the path to liberation. As it's well known in the divine speech of the omniscient gods, Sri Aryant Paramatma, the Om Dwani consists of four anuyog or four type of scripture forms. The type of scripture forms that describes karma in a very detailed fashion is called Karnanuyog. And in Jain philosophy, there are many ancient scriptures that talk about Karnanuyog in great depths. The Mool Granth or the main scripture that talks about Karnanuyog is called Shat Khandagam. It is made of 6 khands and it goes into in a very deep description of karma theory. Based on Shat Khandagam, there are also simpler scriptures which succeeded the original scripture, and one of the main ones is also called as Gomatsar. In Gomatsar, there is a special volume called Gomatsar Karma Kanda, and that talks only about karma in a very, very detailed fashion as well. So one should learn or one should read these scriptures if you would like to learn about karma theory in significant details, much beyond what we will teach you in this Jeev portal. Going further, let's start talking about what are karmas. We will start at a very basic foundational principle of Jainism. Jainism says that the universe is made up of 6 substances. The main fundamental of Jainism starts from the universe or Vishwa. Universe is made up of 6 substances, as you can see in the picture on the right, on your right side. Uh, there is one. substance with conscience, that is called Jeev or soul, and there are five substances without conscience, which is medium of motion, Dharma Dravya, medium of rest, Adharma Dravya, space, time, and more importantly to us is matter or Pudgal. This matter or Pudgal is the only substance that is that can be sensed through five senses. All of the other substances, including soul, cannot be seen by the five senses. So you cannot see space or time or medium of motion or rest with your eyes. You cannot see the soul with your eyes. But whatever we see around us, they're all matter, they're all Pudgal. So whatever we experience, whatever we see, whatever we have always felt around us is all matter. With with your feelings, you can identify the other substances, and you can also logically prove it with your gnan, with your conscience. But a mundane soul has never tried to think about these things. It is always believed in only that substance which it can see, or which it can hear, or which it can feel. That's why it is always focused only on Pudgal or matter. Now, Pudgal or matter is also an interesting substance. See, while the soul in itself is a very pure substance with infinite knowledge or infinite perception, infinite bliss, infinite energy, yet when the soul doesn't understand itself, and when the soul is trying to identify happiness externally in this matter or Pudgal that we are talking about, it first of all will not find happiness out there, but what it will find is it will capture various unhappiness or various emotions or passions. And because of passions, it will then acquire auspicious and inauspicious karma. Let's understand what is this auspicious and inauspicious karma. See, soul as a substance, since eternity, has been bound to karma and has been impure and going around in this universe in the four life forms since eternity. Just like a gold is always found in mine in impure form. Once you process it with certain process, you can purify the gold and get absolutely pure gold. However, the way it exists in the universe since eternity is always in the impure form. Similarly, the mundane soul, like us, have always been in the universe or in the sansar in the impure form. And it is impure because it is bound with karma. What are these karmas and how they bind the soul? Soul is constantly involved in various type of passions. As we saw earlier, soul is not watching itself or not trying to understand itself. It is always trying to find happiness outside in the worldly things, because of which it'll feel liking somewhere or it'll feel dislike somewhere, rag or dvesh. And because of these, it'll attract auspicious karma or punya or inauspicious karma or pap. And because of this attraction, the karma particles will come and bind to the soul. Because of this binding, now the soul is covered with a layer of karma around it. And this way, the soul and karma are stick to each other and the soul becomes impure. Because of this impurity, there, since eternal time, because of this impurity, soul will achieve or attain different life forms. Sometimes because of good karma or auspicious karma, it will achieve a life form which is slightly better than the others, like humans or heavenly beings. Or sometimes because of inauspicious karma, the soul will attain life forms which are inferior compared to others. such as animals or hellish beings. Now, these superior or inferior is also not absolute. It is actually in the uh, worldly matter around that soul. But as such, soul is a soul. It's only the external karma that is showing a different uh, pictures or different situations around itself in form of these worldly things. Let's dive deeper into what these karma are and how does it bind to the soul. So first of all, karma, as the word suggests, karma word has been used in Jain scripture in many different meanings. It could mean, just like in our English grammar, we have a subject, we have an object, and there is an action. Similarly, in Sanskrit grammar, there is a karta is subject, object is karma, and action is kriya. So, karma is also used in the meaning of object. However, that's not the meaning we are talking about here. Another meaning of karma is a specific change, a transformation, which is what we are talking about here. So, what is transforming? See, we started the discussion with universe, and there are six type of substances in universe. One of those substance is Pudgal or matter. Karma are actually matter or Pudgal. In fact, there are three type of karmas, which we will talk about in the subsequent modules. These three type of karma are called Dravya karma, Bhav karma, and No karma. We will understand these in much more details in the subsequent modules, but very briefly. Dravya karma is the type of karma that we are talking today. Bhav karma are Jeev's passions. They are either rag or dvesh, or good deeds or bad deeds of Jeev itself. It is not a matter. These are passions of Jeev substance. They are a transient, momentary passions of Jeev. It's called bhav karma. And lastly, no karma. No karma are the matter or materialistic things around us, like this computer or like this light or phone or your clothes or your bodily substances. These are all no karma. In today's class, we will mainly talk about dravya karma or the karma parmanu or karma pudgal. So let's try to understand that a little more, and the other two we will talk in the subsequent modules. So in this universe, as we said earlier, there are six substances, and the substance which is visible or tangible through five senses is Pudgal. These Pudgal, the fundamental unit of Pudgal is called Parmanu. Parmanu is a very, very, very infinitesimally small unit of Pudgal. It is so small that our eyes cannot see it, our ears cannot hear it, our touch cannot feel it. It is very, very small. But the knowledge of omniscient can obviously see it and feel it and also understand it. In fact, the other type of knowledges like Avdignan or Manaparyagnan can also know a single Pudgal Parmanu. Now, this Pudgal Parmanu has a ability to bind to itself, and it'll form a compound with two parmanu or three parmanu or four or more. So two or more Pudgal bound together is called Skand. Skand is a combined entity of Pudgal Parmanu. So one Skand can have two, three, four, five, few hundreds, few thousands, few millions, or maybe even infinite or indeterminate individual Parmanus. So it can be Sankhyat, finite, asankyat, indeterminate, or anant, infinite Parmanu in one skandha. There are many different type of skandhas. In total, there are 23 different type of skandhas which are called Vargana. Vargana is just a type of skandha depending on how many Pudgal matter or Parmanu is in that skandha. Out of those 23 type of Vargana or 23 type of compounds, one type of Vargana is called Karman Vargana. Karman Vargana is a specific type of Pudgal skandha that has ability to bind to soul in form of karma, in form of the dravya karma that we spoke earlier, right? So, what is karma? A dravya karma is a physical substance or matter or pudgal or vargana that gets bound to the soul with an instrumental cause or with a nimitt of soul's own impure dispositions. Let me repeat it again. When soul has an impure disposition, like delusion or attachment or aversions or passions or liking or disliking, rag or dvesh, any such type of impure disposition will attract physical Pudgal Skand or Vargana. It's called Karmana Vargana. When Karmana Vargana attaches to the soul, then it is called Karma. Right? Karmana Vargana is the raw material which is floating around everywhere in this universe around us. And Karma is the bound Karmana Vargana to the soul. All right, so what is the sequence? As you can see in the picture here, the soul will go through impure dispositions as shown by these different color flames. It will attract various karma particles from around, which will bind to the soul, as you can see by these shackles. And the bound karma particles or karma vargana is called karma. Now, there are two things that we spoke about. We spoke about influx of karma vargana and we spoke about bondage, the incoming skand and the bound skand. Okay, so we'll take one at a time. Let's first understand the process. So as we were just talking, the process of attachment of karma matter to the soul, it consists of two things. One is soul has impure dispositions, and at the same time, the karman pudgal parmanu will get attracted to the soul. So influx of karma parmanu, that is called dravya asrav. Asrav is incoming, and bandh is bondage, right? Influx and bondage, which is called asrav and bandh. Both asrav and bandh are of two types: bhav asrav and dravya asrav. Bhav bandh and dravya bandh. And we will understand these in some details. So the first process, what happens is the soul will have impure dispositions. So it will have passions or it will have aversions or delusion in general, wrong belief. Because of which the physical matter or karma parmanu or karman vargana will get attracted to the soul. So it will come towards the soul. That attraction or incoming inflow of the karma parmanu is called dravya asrav. Dravya is always related to Pudgal or matter, and Bhav is related to soul or Jeev. So Bhav Asrav is the impure disposition of soul, and Dravya Asrav is the influx of or attraction or inflow of those karman particles. That is number one. Number two, when the soul continues to remain in the passions, it will continue in the delusion or attachments or aversions or likings or dislikings or all type of impure dispositions. That continuation is called bhav bandh. And at the same time, the incoming karma particles gets bound to the soul, and that binding is called dravya bandh. Okay, so we spoke about two processes, the influx and bondage. Influx is called asrav, bondage is called bandh. Influx of Pudgal is called Dravyasrav. Bondage of Pudgal is called Dravyabandh. But behind the scene, the main root cause or the main Nimit Karan is the arising of impure dispositions of soul, which is called Bhavasrav, and continuation of those impure dispositions, it is called Bhavabandh. Okay? So there are five reasons for asrav, five reasons for influx. These five reasons, though they are related to soul, but you can correlate them with karma as well. Let's dive deeper into each one of them. The first one is delusion or mithyatva. The first one is delusion or mithyatva. This refers to the false belief of the soul. See, at the root of every impure disposition, the underlying fundamental reason is always a wrong belief or delusion of the soul. The soul, not knowing itself, is trying to find happiness elsewhere. And the place where it is trying to find happiness, it may find the sensual pleasure or it may not find that sensual pleasure. If it finds that pleasure, it thinks that the soul thinks that it has gotten happy for that temporary moment, and that is called liking or rag. If it doesn't like the situation, then there will be a dislike or dvesh. But the fundamental root cause of impure rag or dvesh is always delusion or mithyatva. So the first and foremost reason for influx of karma is delusion. Second, non-restraint or avirati. When the soul doesn't stay engrossed in the soul, but gets distracted to the five senses and and its pleasures, it always violates. Uh, it violates first of all its own soul's boundary, and yet it also violates other living beings or non-living beings. So it can violate also six type of bodies. That is called avirati. Third, negligence or pramad. This is lack of vigilance. When soul is not vigilant about its own self, that's when it gets distracted and gets attracted towards the worldly thing. Soul has delusion, it has a wrong belief about the true happiness. It is trying to find happiness elsewhere, and negligence of ignoring oneself gets it attracted towards external things. That is pramad or negligence. Fourth is passions or kashai. Because the soul is getting attracted to the worldly things, as we said earlier, in certain places it will have liking, in certain places it will have dislikes. The further bifurcation of these likings and dislikes is krodh, man, maya, lobh, or anger, pride, deceit, and greed. And these passions can go at various levels. It can have also quasi passions like hasya, rati, arati, etc. And it will have further many infinite, similarly different type of passions. All of these are another reason for influx of karma. And finally, the soul vibrations or yoga. These are instability or vibrations or the activity of mind, speech, and body. These are basically soul's uh, consciousness towards mind, speech, and body, which leads to the soul vibrations, and the soul vibrations leads to influx of karma. If we see these five, delusion is obviously the strongest reason for influx, and yoga is probably the weakest one. Sometimes you could also combine all of these into one word, passion, or you can combine them in two words, passion and yoga, or Kashai and Yog, or it can be four words like Mithyatva, Avirati, Kashai, and Yog, or Mithyatva, Pramad, Kashai, and Yog. But all of these variations mean the same. They all are indicating these five different type of passions. Let's get into the second type of karma bondage. We talked about the karma influx. Now we are talking about karma bondage. What does the bondage or bandh mean? Bondage or bandh means how karma particles are attracted towards soul and it gets bound to the soul. In reality, actually the karma particles are not binding to the soul. See, the most fundamental principle of Jainism is that one substance can never alter or control or change or bind to another substance. Every substance is independent of each other and stays within its own boundaries. So, as such, soul and karma never binds. Another logic is binding happens between two Pudgal Parmanu because of its sense of touch. The sense of touch has a specific sub-quality called stickiness or chikas or um, attraction to each other. However, soul doesn't have the quality of sense of touch, so it doesn't have stickiness. So, as such, soul has no quality that can help it bind to a physical matter. However, here the bondage or bandh actually means that the karma particles are coming, getting attracted towards soul, and uh, it gets accommodated or it gets steady in the same spatial place coordinates where the soul exists. This correlation between karma and soul is called ek kshetra avgaha sambandh, which means both soul and the karma are just accommodated in the same spatial coordinates. They are not actually bound to each other, but they happen to be in the same space. But the interesting part is as long as the karma is bound to the soul, they will move around and they will remain attached to each other. When the karma and the soul gets detached to each other, they will again move independently of each other. So this incidental correlation between soul and the karma is known as nimit naimatik sambandh. Right? Okay, so what is bondage or bandh? Bondage or bandh means karma particles get attracted towards soul and gets attached to soul. Here again, when we say attach, it doesn't mean real attachment. It means that they are just accommodated in the same spatial coordinates. And why did they get attached? They get attached because, first of all, the karma particles were attracted towards soul, which was because of the influx or asra. When the soul continued in those impure dispositions, the karma particles which were attracted came in the same spatial coordinates and got steady there. And it bound karma, it bound soul to the karma. That's why it is called bondage or bandh. Okay. So bondage or bandh can be very easily understood by an example of sponge. When you take a dry sponge and you pour some water, if you didn't have sponge, the water would have flown around on the floor and it would have spread. But when you had the sponge, the water got absorbed in the same space as sponge. But it doesn't mean that water got converted to sponge or sponge got converted to water. They just happen to be in the same spatial coordinates. Similarly, here, when you see a white soul here, it is the pure soul. And all of these particulate things around, it's the karma particles. When the karma particles get attracted to pure soul, it in the end makes the soul impure. The soul doesn't get impure by any means. Just that because of their association, the soul is called impure. This bondage or bandh happens because of two reasons, as we saw earlier. It happens mainly because of kashai or passion and yoga. When we say kashai, all of these other three, delusion, non-restraint and negligence, or mithyatva, avirati and pramad, are included as a part of kashai. Okay, so we might have heard that the bandh or bondage is because of two reasons, kashai and yoga. And actually, bondage or bandh has four types that we will study in the later modules. It is Prakruti Bandh, Pradesh Bandh, Sthiti Bandh, and Anubhag Bandh, which means what type of karma will get attracted, that is Prakruti Bandh. How many karma will get attracted, that is Pradesh Bandh, the quantity. How long the karma will stay with the soul, Sthiti Bandh, and what type of fruits karma will give, that is Anubhag Bandh. All of these four happen because of yog and kashai, or the soul vibrations and passions. So actually Prakruti and Pradesh happens because of yog, and Sthiti and Anubhag happens because of kashai. We will study these in a little more detail in the later module. One thing that I would like to leave you with as we come to a closure of this session, karma, when bound to soul, one needs to remember that the same karma particle is not bound to the soul since eternity, while karma and Jeev are bound to each other since eternity, since long, long time. But it is not the same karma. So then what actually happens? Karma particle gets attracted to the soul, it gets bound to the soul, it will remain with the soul for certain period of time. And after certain period of time, the karma will get detached from the soul. The binding is called bandh. The time for which they remain together is called satta. And the process of getting detached is called uday. And the karma will give their fruits only when they get detached from the soul. So interestingly, all the time while karma were bound to the soul, or even at the time of binding to the soul, the karma doesn't give any fruits to the soul. Right? Only at the time of detachment, karma gives fruits to the soul. But what fruits are we talking about? Karma, as we saw earlier, is just a pudgal. It is a non-living substance. It is actually a small, infinitesimally small parmanu. And it's a combination of these parmanu. The pudgal or matter doesn't have its own mind. It doesn't have a power to change the world. And anyway, as per Jain philosophy, one substance cannot do anything to the other substance. So even if the karma is bound to soul, what's the problem? Well, the problem is, as long as karma is bound to the soul, we'll go back to this initial slide. As long as karma is bound to the soul itself represents itself in an impure form. A pure soul, while itself is infinitely knowledgeable or has infinite perception, infinite bliss, etc. But an impure soul doesn't represent itself in its full fashion. So it remains with limited knowledge, limited perception, no bliss at all, in the worldly situation and limited energy, because of which it goes through a lot of suffering through four different life forms, and it's a continuous process that the soul is going through since eternity. That's the reason why, even though the karma particle, when bound to soul, cannot do anything, even because it's a non-living thing. Yet, in presence of karma, the soul itself represents itself in a incomplete fashion. That's why the path to liberation is the path to get rid of karma. And how do we get rid of karma? As we spoke earlier, there is no positive canceling negative in case of karma. Both positive karma and negative karma, or punya karma and pap karma, will keep getting added to your karma balance. And when there is detachment or uday of karma, a positive karma getting detached will give you good deeds around you, or good accompaniments around you. When negative karma gets detached, it gives you bad accompaniments or pain or sorrows around you. So, the path to liberation is to get rid of both bad and good karma. And that can only be achieved by introspection, by self engrossment. We will see as we go further, deeper into the karma module, the only way to get rid of karmas is to introspect, understand one's own soul, understand its infinite capabilities, infinite uh, properties, and then getting self engrossed within its own infinite abilities and experiencing the soul. When one experiences the soul in that moment, which is called Atma Anubhuti, in the moment of Atma Anubhuti, the soul doesn't attract neither good nor bad karmas. So for that moment, there is no karma getting added, and yet the karma which were present inside already are getting away, or they are going away very quickly. So that's the only process by which one can get more and more self engrossed in deeper and deeper meditation towards a complete full engrossment that leads to elimination of all karma and complete salvation. We hope we all achieve that state of salvation or liberation or moksha very soon. And with that, we will stop the class here. I welcome if you have any questions on this topic.
Can you unshare your screen, Bhaiya?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you, Bhaiya. Basically, this lecture focus on the basic terminology or the introduction part of karma. We will be having further modules, which where we will discuss about the later part of this chapter. Bhaiya already gave an overview about different types, intensities, what we will discuss in the later topics that we will discuss. So now the session is up for any kind of questions or any kind of queries if anybody has. Yes,
Just 1 second. So I would like to share the table of contents again.
yes.
And that way everyone can see what topics we will be covering in this module. Going forward, see, today we have just spoken about the what is karma and influx and bondage. Now we will get into the classification of karma. We'll talk about three different type of karmas: the material karma or dravya karma, psychic karma, bhav karma, quasi karma, which is now karma. We will then go into the karma cycle. We'll go into type of material karma, which is ghati and aghati karma, or obscuring and non-obscuring karma. We'll go into a very depth of uh, 10 modes of karma, or karma ki 10 avasthaएं, and that will give a preliminary introduction of the karma topic. With all of these topics, it is not it is just touching the surface of karma. There is always much more depth that we can tap in the karna and yoga scriptures, as we spoke earlier. Over to you,
Perfect.
Bhaiya.
Yeah, thank you, Bhaiya. I think this will help you to navigate amongst different modules, obviously later on. So now the session is open for question answers. If anybody has any question or wanted to throw some light on anything at any point which have been missed, I guess since this is an introductory lecture, so maybe the questions will come up in the further modules. But let me start this process now. So I want you, Bhaiya, to throw some light on the basic question which usually people ask is karma is falls under the category of um, Pudgal, which is non-living being, okay, which has the
Mm.
qualities of Sparsh, Ras, Gandh, Varn, as we have already covered this Dravya Gun Paryay topic in this Jeev portal. So the qualities of Pudgal is Sparsh, Ras, Gandh, Varn, and it is visible, but karma is not visible. So
Mm.
why there is a difference between these definition and the application?
See, absolutely. Karma is just a type of Pudgal. All the qualities of Pudgal, like Sparsh, Ras, Gandha, Varna, also applies to karma. Just that, as we started speaking in the beginning of this module, there are many different type of Pudgal Skand or the compound of Pudgal. One type of which is Karma and Vargana, which specifically makes Karma Parmanu. There are other type of Vargana, uh, which is also called as Ahar Vargana. Ahar Vargana makes up all the things that we see around us, our body, the clothes, the building, the walls, our furniture, our everything that we see, that we hear, that we smell is all Ahar Vargana. Beyond that, there is something called as Bhasha Vargana. Bhasha Vargana is a type of Pudgal combination compound that makes up our sound. Anything that we hear is made up with Bhasha Vargana. Then there is a type of Pudgal which is called Tejas Vargana. It makes up the Tejas body of our soul or our with this body there's also a Tejas body or what we simply call in English as aura. See, a living being will have an aura. A dead body doesn't have that aura. And that aura is Tejas Sharir, which is made of Tejas Parmanu. There's also, I'm sorry, Tejas Vargana. There's also a type of Vargana which is called Mano Vargana. And that makes up the Dravya Man. All of these different type of Pudgal Skand and their formations we will study in the later modules. When we talk about Karma and Vargana, which makes up the karma, the very nature of karma and vargana is that it is very, very, very fine. And that's why even the large combination of these parmanu makes up a combination which cannot be seen with eyes or cannot be felt. That's why we cannot see karma. Even then, all the qualities of Pudgal Parmanu, like Sparshas, Gandha, Varna, applies to karma also.
Perfect. So basically, the variety and the Pudgal Skand which you are talking about, something that makes difference amongst something which is visible and which is not visible. Obviously,
Mm.
this will also come into the picture in the later part when we will discuss about Dravya Karma, Bhav Karma, and Mau Karma in detail. So one more question to the audience, since we have a lot of people who have joined, and if nobody will answer, obviously Somil Bhaiya will throw some light. The question is, should we focus more on getting rid of karma, or should we focus more on introspecting on self? Anyone from the audience? I'll repeat the question. Being Atmarthi or being the person who do Swadhyay, listen to Gurudev Shri's Pravachan, our primary focus should be on getting rid of karma, or the primary focus should be on introspecting. Anyone from the audience?
You can unmute yourself and speak.
Okay, I think this will pass on to Somal
Okay.
Bhaiya.
Sure, we have a shy audience here. Okay, see, I think the two options that you gave, Bhaiya, is two sides of a coin. the way to get rid of karmas is to introspect. Otherwise, there is no other way to get rid of karma. Obviously, our objective or end goal is to attain happiness. And happiness is achieved only when one gets rid of all karmas and achieve liberation. And the way to achieve liberation is to introspect and get self engrossed. So, while we are studying the topic of karma, and while we will go in great depth of the type of karma, what variations exist, what is the function of each karma, how it exhibits itself, the overall objective of this topic is not to study the Pudgal matter. The overall objective is always to understand the soul and how to achieve happiness. So one should never forget this underlying objective of why we are studying this particular topic. So eventually, we want to understand how to introspect or get self engrossed in a better way. And that's the purpose of studying the topic of karma.
Perfect. So thank you, Bhaiya. I think we are done for the day for today's topic, and in the
Mhm.
further modules we will be continuing this topic to discuss in detail. And if anybody has any queries, you can reach out now as well as later on when we will be uploading this video on YouTube and also on the Jeev portal. So you can comment it down, or if you wanted to email, you can email your query, and we will access your query to Somil Bhaiya and directly to you. So now to end this session, let me shortly introduce you with the access points. So to access Jeev portal, you can directly type www.jeev.net.in. You will access to a portal called Jeev portal, where you will get accessibility towards different topics, different resources such as all the topics, taking it from basic topics such as Tirthankar and Bhagwan, what is the difference? Namukar Mahamantra, basic ABCD topics to the toughest topics, or would say the more complex topics, Dravya Gun Paryay or Anuyog, or maybe Karma topic can be one such topic. So all these levels are there on the portal. If you wanted to access any of the topic, you can click on the topic, and once you click it, you will access the resources such as articles, quizzes, or presentations which Bhaiya shared today, and Gurudev Shri lecture snippets. So whatever Gurudev Shri depicted in his lectures about karma, what is suitable to the topic, we have kept it that snippet in the short 2-3 minute or maybe 5-7 minute of clip, and you can access to uh, those recordings and snippets of Gurudev Shri as well. In this way, this portal is designed basically for the audience who wanted to learn Jainism in English. And if you feel any difficulty, or maybe you're living out of the country and your children are more comfortable in English language, this is a perfect portal for you. And you can also use these presentations in your daily Pathshala to educate the young generation and whosoever is comfortable in the language. So that's all for today. Over to you, Somil Bhaiya, for
Bhaiya, one more question.
yes.
How can people join the WhatsApp community for Geo portal updates?
Okay, so basically, if you need to get all the updates of Jeev portal, there is a WhatsApp community which we have created where you will be getting the links of the lecture as well as whatever we are releasing in terms of content like wisdom bites, Instagram reels, everything is posted there. So, what I will do is I will paste the link of WhatsApp community over the chat box, and you can join the WhatsApp community. Also, the other thing, once this recording is uploaded on YouTube after 48 hours, there is a QR code which is mentioned right below my picture and Somil Bhaiya's picture. So you can access that. You can just go to the QR code and that will redirect you directly to the WhatsApp community, and you can join it. Otherwise, on Jeev Portal YouTube channel, any of the video has the QR code, and there is a WhatsApp community link given in the description box. You can click it and come to the WhatsApp community. WhatsApp community is the most suitable option for you to connect to Jeev portal and to get regular updates. Okay?
Thank you, Bhaiya. Let's finish the class with the Jinwani Stuti. निज निधि निज में बताई यह अनंत उपकार है। इसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना शत बार है, वंदना शत बार है। बोलो जिनवाणी मात की जय हो।
Just a minute. I'll just paste the link. I guess some people wanted to join, so I'll paste it here as well.
हम्म,
Yes, the link is in the description. The link is in the chat box. Whosoever wants to join, they can click on the link.
let's give them 2 minutes to click,
Yes,
then we
yes,
can
yes.
just
We are here
continue.
for 2-3 minutes and then we will end the session.
Yes, I think there is a suggestion in the chat box from Rajesh Bhai. It's a very good suggestion. Uh, we will share this link or the QR code to the people that is in this group, uh, and you can feel free to share it in the individual Mandirji mandals.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I think we can end, Samal Bhaiya.
We can add. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. See you in the next module lecture.